Hi, welcome to Beyond Authentic Witchcraft. My name's Lisa, and this is day 2 of my Witchmas. So if you want to know how I go about turning all of this into this, stay tuned. For this project, you will need a sports sock or a trainer sock. Tube socks, I think they're called in the States. This is one of the ones with the fluffy terry toweling inside. Don't forget, the larger the sock, the larger your snow person. An odd sock in your chosen pattern or colours. Some buttons or other items to use for your snow person's buttons. So I've got some buttons and I've got some coloured pom-poms. You could use either. Some paint. Now this is optional, but this is just in case we need it. A little brush and a palette. Some glue. You will definitely need some kind of glue. So I've got some Bostik All Purpose and I've got some Elmer's washable. Either one will do. You might want some googly eyes, a little festive hat, and most importantly for the stuffing, either some rice, some lentils, or some other pulses. Now you will be getting these back, and possibly a hair bobble or elastic band. The first thing we're going to do is take our tube sock or our sports sock and cut it just above the band. So just where the toweling part meets the elastic part for the ankle, basically. This part of the sock you're going to want to keep hold of if you're going to use this pattern for your beanie hat, for the snow person's beanie hat. So as you can see, you just scrunch that up, but I'll show you that as we go through. Now, I'm not sure whether I'm going to use this or whether I'm going to use this sort of rainbow festive pet hat. I think this was designed for a cat. It was just in my craft supplies, so I don't know. Make sure your sock is inside out, and then what we're going to do is take our bag of lentils or our bag of rice and basically shove it in the sock. Now, a little tip, if you're wanting to reuse this, keep it in a bag where you've got some mobility, so a larger bag than is actually needed. So if it's a rice bag, take it out of the packaging it comes in and put it in a softer or a larger bag, so you've got that sort of malleability. Right then, let's just try and cram this in here. Once your rice or lentils or whatever you're using is in the sock, give it a little bounce up and down, and then you want to make it so that this is going to be the main body of the snow person, like that. So again, you can shape it as you go, but that's going to be pretty good for me. You can kind of squish it together like so, as you can see, almost like that sort of shape, and then use one of the hair bubbles or an elastic band to just secure that in place. Now you don't have to worry too much because this is going to be covered up by the scarf a little bit later. So for now, just bob that around like so. And again, as you can see, that is pretty good. You just want to make sure that that bag stays shut. So I think this might be a few too many lentils, but I'm sure it will be fine. There we go. And then with the excess here, you can trim it. Obviously, it's going to depend on the sort of size that you want your snow person to be, but I think that's going to be absolutely fine. What I'm actually going to do first is to tie a knot in the top of the sock. It's going to get hidden underneath the beanie hat. I guess you could actually do this if you didn't want to destroy an old sock, or if you only just bought a pair of socks, you could tie the top of the sock like so. I mean, you could even have that as, I guess you could have that as the head if the snowman, if you wanted to, but I think that's going to look quite cool if I leave it like that underneath the beanie hat. So that's the basic shape. Now this is where you've got options, because this is Witchmas, not just a Christmas time DIY. This you can have out all season long. Okay, so it would be really easy if you wanted to put a little sigil on it, to put a piece of paper inside along with the rice or the lentils, and to actually have a little spell working, a little paper spell in there, or some affirmations, whatever it is that you want to use. Now, I'm not actually going to do that myself right now, but it is always an option. But for now, you just want to put your snow person over to one side. There you go. And we're going to take our odd sock in whichever color or pattern that you've decided to use. So I think I'm going to use this one because our tree this year, some of our decorations are sort of tealy blue, steel blue, coal blue, like something like that. So this is going to be ideal. It will match in. Now, again, with this sort of sock, you just want to cut along this line here. Any sock will do, almost any size. It's just going to go around as a scarf. So you are just going to cut along the long length of the sock, not the heel side, but the long length of the sock. So I'll show you with this one. And it's easy if you want to keep your sock folded in half. If you are using one of these lined socks, we've got the internal lining, you just want to cut off the top, pull it inside out, and then cut the inner bit away from the sock. Now, the reason I'm doing it this way round is because I want to use the little toe part of the sock. I want to use that for the beanie hat. So I want to keep that in place if I can. So I'm going to turn it the right way in just so that I know exactly what sort of space of material I've got. Now you can see with these socks, they've got those little sort of rubber dots on the end so that they don't slip. That's fine. You're not going to notice it when it's done, but I am going to need about this much of the sock for the beanie hat. So again, I'm just going to cut this bit off. And then I'm going to go ahead, turn the sock back to the way that we're going to use it. Now this I'm going to cut fairly thin. So again, if you wanted to make this make multiple snow people, you'll get lots of scarves out of the one odd sock. So don't worry too much about that. I'm going to go slightly further up and take it to there, even though there's a pattern. So as you can see, there's still plenty of the sock that we haven't used, plenty of fabric. So again, if you wanted to make more scarves or longer scarves, you could absolutely cut this down into strips. But for now, I'm going to put that to one side. So we've now got our length of sock material and the toes of our sock. So I might have cut this a little bit short actually looking at it, but I'm sure it'll be fine. So what we're going to do is take our snow person, and what you want to do is to really pull this and really stretch it, because not only does it make it longer, but if you see where I'm holding it with a thumb's length here and holding it with a thumb's length here, as you're stretching it, that material in between kind of rolls over, which is what we want to see. So it just adds to that scarf effect. So what I'm going to do again is just tie it around like so. Don't worry if the two ends aren't the same length. I think that actually looks quite cool like that. But if like this, you've got an area of the sock that is slightly more stained, i.e. where the heel was, especially if it was a gym sock, then just spin it around until you've got the area that you want to be at the front. So like so. And then we're going to use a little bit of our glue. So I'm going to use the Bostik all-purpose glue, and I'm just going to, this glue's always got the sticky bits that come out the end, but I'm just going to put a little blob of glue on that part like so. That's the front part just there, and I'm going to put the other blob of glue just like so, just down there. So as you can see, the scarf looks quite long, quite wrapped. I quite like that. It's off to one side, but that is absolutely fine because we're going to put the buttons down here or for the lumps of coal. Don't forget, as always, put your lid back on straight away. Now, because I'm using a tray to do it all, I can keep that slightly propped up. You want to do that with your glue to make sure it doesn't just roll off and go everywhere. Now, I think with the beanie hat, I think I'm going to have to trim that knot a little bit tighter right to the knot point itself, like so. And then I'm just going to see how the beanie part of the hat looks. So again, that will look quite cool as is. I do think we're going to have to finagle this a little bit. So what I'm going to do is, using that same kind of idea as with the scarf, is just to pull that around, and then we get that nice sort of frayed effect on the bottom, like so. And again, I'm just going to shape the head slightly, a little bit of brute force, and then I'm going to use that part there of the toe as the front of the beanie hat, and I'm just going to kind of wrap it around. And then at the back here, as you can see, you can fold this bit over like so. You could pin it, you could glue it. I'm just going to, for sheer ease and speed, I'm going to put a blob of glue just there to put that internal bit, and a blob of glue on this side. It's actually quite a lot more than I expected there, but never mind. Just rest the glue, and I'm going to use that bit just to fold that over like so. Bring your snow person back round, check that it all looks quite funky, and so you can see it's already coming together. Now this is where you need to kind of either leave it for a little bit or just be very mindful that that glue is going to take a while to dry. And now you can go for the decorating. So I do have some googly eyes. I think they might look cute. Oh yeah, I could have used this hat on it, but I actually really like the way this bobble hat, this little beanie and the scarf match. I really think that is going to look absolutely lovely. So then I've got some random buttons here, and I did notice earlier we had some tealy bluey ones that might look really cool, but this is just odds and ends from my craft bag. If you don't have a craft bag, you can always pick up buttons at charity shops, flea markets, things like that. You can quite often come across little bags of buttons. Is there any other green ones? I don't want them all to match, so I want them to be sort of similar color scheme, but maybe a little bit different. So maybe like that. Maybe if there's a slightly more blue one. Is that too baby blue? Yes, it is. Well, that might work as well. Look. So yeah, that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use maybe 3 buttons. 1, 2, 3. That might look quite good. I'm going to take my button, add a tiny blob of glue, and that's the smallest one at the top, just slightly under the scarf. The medium button in the middle, and the larger button, if you can hear that in the background, that's the dogs playing around. I'm going to have to go and see what they are doing in the lounge. I'm probably going to go in the lounge and be destroyed, but never mind. I'm sure it won't. I'm sure they're good doggos. I'm sure they're just playing. So there you go. I just want to rearrange that scarf slightly on the edges, but you can see it's really, really coming together. Now then, you've got options here. Again, if you wanted to use the pom-poms, you could glue the pom-poms down for buttons. I think we do have with a grey pom-pom. Oh look, that would actually match that really nicely from that sock. So let's use that. I don't know where these came from. I'm going to put the pom-pom just here at the back, just like so, with a big old blob, just to hide that little, or not to hide really, but just to kind of distract from that fold there. So again, just gluing that in place, holding it down. Right then. There we go. So that's our snow person almost finished. Now I do have some googly eyes, so let's see what it looks like with the googly eyes. These and the pom-poms, the little random assortment of pom-poms, came from, I think, the pound shop, but you can get them in other places. So what do we think if we put the googly? Actually, I quite like it with the googly eyes. Yeah, I wasn't going to use them, to be honest. I was only going to use it as an option, but I quite like the googly eyes. I think they look quite fun. Right, so again, a little blob of glue, and I'm just going to put them just under the beanie hat, just like so. And now I've got that first one placed. Make sure it lines up. I'm going to place that one on there as well. And then just pop that on there. So we've got our snow person's eyes. That's cute. Look how cute that is. Now we are going to need to wait for this to dry. Now I know what you're thinking, but Lisa, there's no nose, there's no carrot. Now you could use another button. If you've got one, you could use a pom-pom. But for me, because I have this lying around, I'm just going to use a little bit of paint, and I'm going to add a little bit of the red into that yellow and just mix that together. Now I'm not too worried about the paint going on the tray because this is my crafting tray. Just means that everything stays in one place. There we go. That's probably far too much paint, but yeah, it's much too much paint. But I'm just going to paint on a little triangle nose. You can see it's far too much paint, but it'll be fine. Now if you don't want to mix up some paint, if you haven't got paint, you could just use maybe a marker pen, something like that. Just to complete the little snow person, I'm going to give them, just with a marker pen, some little dots to represent coal in a nice welcoming smile. A little bit of a crooked smile there maybe. Now obviously you're going to leave that to dry, but I think that is incredibly cute. And as you can see, it doesn't take that long to make. It's very easy to do with children, and you're not wasting anything because we're just using old socks, odd socks, things like that. Now obviously after Christmas you can take this apart, you can pull off the bit of the beanie hat, undo that knot, and then you've got access to all of the rice or the lentils that you've put inside, so you're not even wasting any food. So that's the standard snow person. I think you could adapt this quite easily. Instead of the beanie hat, you could use some black felt, black material, and make a conical witch's hat with a little bit of a floppy brim. That might look really cool. You could also make a family of snow people, different sizes, different ages, all sorts of bits and pieces. And because we've got that knot that's currently hidden underneath the beanie hat, it wouldn't take that much to turn this from a generic snow person into a certain snowman from a Disney film series, because we've got that third bubble there. So you just have to do a small face. This would be the first part of the body, so the scarf would probably start just up here, and then the larger part of the body with twig arms. Let me know what you would name them down in the comment section, and don't forget, if you liked this video, do please give it a thumbs up, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and as always, ding your bell so that YouTube notifies you each and every time I upload a video or go live. I will see you again tomorrow with another random video for Witchmas. But that is it from me. And as I always say, stay you, stay true, stay authentic, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Bye.